Well, here we are we're back at our famous Turkish restaurant in Dalston for the G-Man Talks Boxing 5. I do apologise on behalf of the programme, John Collins, me being the presenter, that we've had a little bit of a break, but it was actually felt that the season's now progressing and we're now in a position where some really big fights are coming up. So hence we're into the G-Man Talks Boxing 5. So after that preamble, G-Man.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on.
Let's get it on, as the man says.
We've talked about Froch and we've talked about the super middleweights, the historical super middleweight title fights. And of course Groves didn't get the better of Froch in the end. He got stopped twice at the end of the day. But a big fight with Eubank is coming up and it's set the whole industry. One of the biggest controversies, of course, has been ITV Digital trying to charge 31 quid and then claiming that they didn't. In America, that sort of fee is kind of par for the course. So, you know, they've now reduced it to, I think, 16 quid. So what's your take on that? Do you think they made a mistake or do you think they were trying it on?
Well, really, I think George is sick and is tired that everything is coming off the back of Froch. He ain't interested about that. George is his own man now. And you've got to look at it from that point of view. What they want to charge is up to them. George does the business. And Eubank's inside here to make sure that George don't do the business. See, this is a funny situation. The situation is that Eubanks, he's the rising star. And people keep asking all this, the same question time in and time out. Is George finished? I don't think so. I think there's a lot left in the tank for George to go out there and do what he's supposed to do. Eubanks is going to go out there and make sure that George don't do what he thinks he can do. But what I think that George mustn't get bored. He's got a tendency to switch off. And when you switch off, he can't get back in the fight. He's got to stay focused all the way through.
Going to the actual fight, obviously George Groves has had massively more high-class championship contests than Chris Eubank Jr. has.
Yeah, some could say he's been worn out.
What do you think about the weight issue? I mean, Groves is obviously a natural super middleweight, light heavyweight, and Eubank isn't.
He's massive, George. He looks like a cruiserweight. But this is boxing. This is not just size about it. Listen, we know that George can bang. That's what we know. We know he can bang, but he knows that he's short in the confidence department. You see, this is it. Eubank goes out there and he plays with George because he knows George is brittle. He knows that. He knows that George is not very... But he has to be careful. George, to win this fight, has to be patient. Just be patient. Go back to the days of feinting and tracking and then we're going to see what it's all about. Eubanks is the rising star. I want you to understand that. Eubanks is the rising star. Rising. But it can be like, Doe, get flat.
Well, I've seen Eubank in interviews. I don't know him. I don't know his dad. But his dad's a very intelligent man, and so is Chris Eubank Jr.
Sure. Extremely
intelligent.
Sure.
That says to me that he has a brain and a boxing brain. Power, that's been questioned. He does stop people. There's no, make no mistake about it. But in the power stakes, where are we? Sort of on a scale of 1 to 10 for both of them.
On a 1 to 10 scale, George is up there at 8.5. Eubank's up there at 6. That's not his game. That's not his game. He may think so, but that's not really his game. Listen, George has got a fantastic left hook when you walk onto it. All he's got to do is to be patient. Eubank's got to make sure that he gets him brittle. That's what he's got to do with George. George gets brittle. And he knows that.
So, I'm not going to ask you for a prediction because I don't think you're going to give it.
I've got a fantasy.
But what I am going to ask you, it's a pay-per-view fight written all over. Never disagree with that. Is it going to deliver?
Yes. Listen, you're going to see one of the most interesting fights that you've seen for a long time. You're going to see some What you're going to see is that both guys in there, they have this realization to understand One is the Joker, and one is the going through, and they know that. So you're gonna find, especially Eubanks. Eubanks is the ambitious foe in this situation. He's so ambitious that you can make him king tomorrow. Right now, he's going to be the one who is going to be looking to be successful.
So who is more psychologically prepared and confident going into this fight?
Oh, Eubanks.
Right.
But his preparation and his confidence doesn't mean it's reality. It does not mean it's reality. George is the one who goes into this fight, and he has a sledgehammer. That's what he's got. Eubanks is going to make sure that he's not the peanut.
Well, exactly. Now this brings me on to my next question, which all these super series which everybody's raving about, and a lot of fighters from yesteryear are saying, well, I wish we had these super series. Well, I don't quite believe them actually. They were quite happy to knock out stiffs, trust me. But this is a quarter-final, semi-final of the Britain are dominating this super middleweight one because they've got Callum Smith. I don't know if DeGale is in it or not. I don't think he is. DeGale got a beating in his last fight, as we all know. Callum Smith is getting up there and saying that he's got something to bring to the table. So Britain, this is the one division where Britain is actually truly dominating for some reason. The super middleweight division.
Well, we've said on this channel many times that the future is Britain when it comes to boxing. That's the future. That is the future. Callum Smith, DeGale, Groves, Eubanks, the super middles, the middles. This is the future. It's rising and rising and rising.
Well, it is, because last night we were on the phone. We had a lovely conversation with Carl King, son of Don.
Yeah.
And he was giving us the rundown on the state of American boxing.
What a bobber! This man is a boxing entrepreneur. This man knows boxing inside out.
Yeah.
And he's aware that for the future of boxing is right here, Mush. Right here.
For the viewers, Carl King, that's Don King's son, said that the Kings are absolutely amazed at the 80 or 90,000 people that are attracted to stadiums. He said that outside of the Vegas shows, American boxing shows with world titles, genuine world titles on it, are struggling to attract 3,000 people into some ballroom somewhere.
Correct.
That is exactly what he said. So it was very interesting that America, the Kings, all the big promoters, they've got their eyes on this fight, haven't they?
Well, they're interested. The thing is, are we going to invite them over?
What, the American fighters or the promoters?
The American fighters. We don't want the promoters. We don't need that. We need some of the fighters.
Well, I'm not sure with the Super Series which American fighters are in it. Generally, it seems to be more Europeans, to be quite honest. But what the Americans are attracted by, the fighters and the promoters, as what Mr. King was saying, is by the sheer volume of the numbers generated in this country for boxing. I mean, I don't know how it's come about or why it's come about.
We've got a situation where we've got 80,000 people. When AJ boxes, the place is sold out. That speaks for itself, speaks volumes for itself. You can't get that in America unless it's Super Bowl or some nonsense like that. But we're talking boxing. This is where it is right now. Love it or loaf it. That's where it is right now. So don't miss this train. Be there.
Now the bookies are making Chris Eubank the favourite, at least the last time that I looked.
Yeah.
So George Groves, funnily enough, despite all his assets, the bigger man, the more championship fights, the smarts, the ring smarts that you have always said George Groves has got, right? Eubank is going into this fight, I think, as the betting favourite come Saturday night. Obviously, given the nature of boxing, it's probably a 50-50 contest. I personally think it's edging in favour of Groves, but like I said, I'm not going to put you under that particular pressure.
No, you can do, but this is a situation. George goes into this situation where he keeps himself looking well. He handles the situation well. He goes in the ring and he's well composed. What's going on underneath the tank, we don't know. He disguised that very well. Give him 10 out of 10. He starts slow. That's Eubanks. He starts fast. 10 out of 10 for Eubanks. And this is what makes this fight interesting.
So it could be a fight of two halves, to coin a phrase.
It is a fight of two halves, if it gets to that.
That's very interesting.
If it gets to that.
Lastly, because I know that you're a busy man these days, G-Man, but I'm going to ask you this much. Where will the loser go from here? If it's Eubank, will he just step down to middle? If it's Groves, will he step up to light heavyweight? What's going to happen?
Well, they both have a future. They both have a future. There's no losing in this fight. There's going to be a decision happening. What I'd like to see in this fight is somebody on the canvas. That's what I want to see. Someone on the canvas. Otherwise, it don't count.
You're looking for that, or you're expecting that?
I'm expecting that. Someone on the canvas. If you want to make your meat, you want to make your balls, you want to be the future, this is a big fight. This is a big fight.
So basically you're saying that, in your opinion, someone's going to get knocked out.
Someone has to get thrown down. Someone to make it a real situation. Otherwise, it's a no-no. Someone has to pay the consequences. This is what this is all about. And this fight is it's built for that. The smaller man and the bigger man. The rising star, the one dwindling down. We will find out. But the only way we want to take it is someone has to be referee stop the fight or he's on the canvas. Out. One of the two. That's what we want to see. And then they can move on out. Other than that, and this fight is not like that. This fight is going to be like that.
G-Man, it's been an absolute pleasure once again. This is our 5th in the series. I'm now going to record it, share it everywhere.
Thank you.
Next Wednesday, we'll have G-Man Talks Boxing 6. Get it here on John Collins Live.
Wow.